Hi, I'm Rayma.
And I'm Andrea.
And this is Mile High Murder. We are just slightly obsessed with true crime. We text each other when new missing persons cases are unfolding. We add each other to Facebook sleuth groups and definitely feel like we have solved the cases before anyone else. We aren't creepy, I promise.
I'm sorry. That was dumb.
It's fine. I'm just gonna laugh.
I'm ready. Sorry.
I'm actually sorry. It's Wednesday!
Yay! My favorite day of the week.
Hopefully it's yours too.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
We're back.
People are popping out of bed at 5 a.m. to listen to us.
Everybody, right? You're
Don't
all
you
like,
know?
oh, it's Wednesday. I gotta put on Andrea and Rayma's podcast. Here we are to talk about murder with you.
We are here.
Bright and early.
Yep.
Or
Start your day the murder way.
or in the afternoon. Or in the evening, hopefully not at night on your drive home alone, because that is the worst time to listen to a murder podcast.
Yeah, but we do it.
I can't do it, actually.
Oh, you don't?
Oh, not when it's dark out. Or if I'm alone.
Oh, okay. Is that why you panic when you run out to your car?
Yeah, just a little bit. No, I'm normal. I'm totally normal. It's normal.
Well, you're not as dark and twisty as I am, apparently.
Well, I don't know. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a case that has resurfaced recently.
Yes.
And a lot of you have been actually suggesting it to us because it's
in the news.
It's in the news. It's been in the news this past week or couple weeks. So we had it on our list already to do. Mm-hmm. And because of new information, we decided to go ahead and do it now.
It's totally time.
So I'm going to be talking about the murder of Jonelle Matthews.
Which, just warning, this is the death of a little girl. So
yeah, she was 12 years old.
Sensitive people, children,
turn it off.
Turn it off. But we're not going to go into graphic detail.
No.
We don't have graphic details anyway.
Yeah, we don't usually anyways.
No.
So for 35 years, Greeley's most infamous cold case baffled detectives. So yeah, this is a 35-year-old cold case, which is pretty crazy.
It's insane.
It is still a cold case right now, but new things came up. And you probably heard about it even on Facebook. It's been all over Facebook.
Everywhere, yeah.
So Jonelle Matthews was a 12-year-old girl who attended Franklin Middle School. And according to her sister, she was strong, independent, opinionated, and a 12-year-old who knew what she wanted and how things should be done.
Which is a 12-year-old.
Yeah, totally. I also heard her described as just so sweet and outgoing, that she just was a people person. Jonelle was a part of the Franklin Middle School choir and performed in a Christmas concert on the night of December 20th, 1984. So I'm going to go back and say that there isn't a ton of information on this case because it's a cold case.
It's so crazy.
So the information that we have for you, there's maybe a little more out there, but sorry, this is going to be a shorter episode today. So her Christmas concert was on the night of December 20th, and neither one of her parents could be there because her mom was on a trip to California and her dad was at her older sister's basketball game. So she went alone, but her friend Deanne and her friend's dad drove her home around 8:15 p.m. They dropped her off at her front porch on 43rd Avenue, and they waited and watched Jonelle go inside.
Yeah, which I was like, oh my gosh, how could you do that? But it was 1984.
That's true. Good point.
And that was the same year that Adam Walsh went missing. So this was like a new thing.
Yeah.
Like before, you didn't worry about dropping your child off at home with nobody there.
Absolutely. I also heard with this case, someone say how actually someone on our Instagram commented about how they grew up in Greeley in 1984, that it was just a different, when this happened, it was just a crazy time to be a kid then, because it was such a big deal that this happened. So around 8:30 p.m., Jonelle received a phone call from a friend of her dad's telling her that her dad would be home soon from the basketball game. When her dad, Jim, arrives home an hour later, so it took him a whole hour.
I know.
I wonder if they were just far from the basketball game or what. But her dad noticed...
Probably an away game.
Yeah, probably. You're right. Her dad noticed that the garage door is open and the TV's on, but Jonelle isn't there. He assumed that maybe Jonelle had gone to see the neighbor. And at first, again, 1984, no alarm bells were immediately raised. So at 10 p.m., Jonelle's sister, Jennifer, arrived home You're right. It was an away game because she must have arrived home on the bus, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Jim asks where Janelle is, but Jennifer hadn't seen her. So I guess he just didn't think anything of it, which is pretty crazy. But I don't know.
My dad would be like, I don't know.
If mom's not home, to be like, where the heck is our kid?
Totally.
Like dads are a little bit more lenient. Like
my dad never knew where we were.
She's probably watching a movie at the neighbor's house, whatever. So Jim calls his pastor, which I think is interesting. That immediately,
it's precious, so sad.
Precious guy, yeah. He calls his pastor immediately, but the pastor right away is like, "You need to call the police."
Dude, you called the wrong person.
I think really this case proves so much how things were different then.
So different.
You know, like your first thought
wasn't to call 911.
Yeah,
and even like, hey, I haven't seen my daughter. Do you have any idea where she is? Like, yeah, bananas.
So 15 minutes after he called, the Greeley PD arrived and began asking questions, and they started canvassing the neighborhood right away. Around midnight, Gloria, Janelle's mom, calls the house to let them know that she had arrived in California, only to be horrified to learn that Janelle is missing.
Ugh, so she Can you imagine getting that call?
No.
Or like getting that information.
No.
You're like, okay, well, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Well, and not being able, I mean, you can't do anything about it anyways, but
you feel so helpless.
Totally. So she took the first flight home the next morning, which, yeah, absolutely. That's what I would do.
I'd be like crawling my way back home. Like, I don't care. I'm not waiting.
Yeah. Oh,
I know.
So there was no sign of forced entry, no sign of a struggle, no eyewitnesses, and only some footprints in the snow outside her home. The trail went cold, and the disappearance of 12-year-old Jonelle Matthews. They couldn't. It just went cold.
That's so sad.
They had no information. So... But even though they had no information, again, this was the same year that Adam Walsh went missing. So the case garnered a lot of national attention. And this was the season where they were putting missing children on the milk cartons.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And also...
Do they still do that? No.
I mean, do we still have milk cartons? I have a milk...
Yes.
Do we?
I mean, I buy like the gallon, but they have cartons.
Do they? I literally can't even think of one.
I literally can think of one right now.
Okay, well. Anyways, not only that, but at the time, President Reagan also had mentioned her in a speech. So this was like
that's right.
Getting a ton of attention. And they also had like the hotline for missing children that you could call at the time as well for any information.
It the, Center for Missing and Exploited
National
Children.
Center for Missing Children.
Yeah.
So for 34 years, no clues or solid leads.
It's just so strange.
Were ever found in the case, and the decades following, and the case went completely cold. I did hear, and I don't know if this is true or not, that I didn't read this in an article or anything, but I heard, just because this is local, I heard people say that they had opened the case a few times, like every few years.
Oh,
they would
kidding.
kind of
I was
open
just
it
gonna
back
ask
up.
you, like, how does that work? Like,
I'm actually not sure. We need to find that out.
Let's talk to a cold case investigator.
Ooh. So one of our...
If you're a cold case investigator, hit us
contact us. We would love to interview you. One of our plans soon here in the future is we're going to start interviewing some experts.
Oh, we're really excited about that.
If you are an expert and you want to be interviewed by us, if you're willing to go through with this, we would love to interview you. So side note.
Yes, we would love that. Email us at milehighmurderpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. So, so I heard that they reopened it every few years just to kind of see
that's crazy.
Anything.
And like DNA is, like all that technology is changing constantly.
Yeah. So
like they didn't have that in the 80s, did they? Was it like the beginning? Maybe toward the late 80s.
I mean, it's definitely way different now. But I don't remember. I don't know when it started. Like it started becoming
like booming.
More of a thing. Yeah.
I feel like it was the early 90s, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, moving on.
So 10 years after Janelle went missing, police and her family believed that Janelle had been kidnapped and murdered. Her dad, Jim, told 9 News that they felt like they need to put closure on her life, but said there was no complete finality because they didn't have her body or proof of her murder.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so sad.
That's really sad. The Greeley police were hopeful with technological advances in forensic and scientific testing methods that they would gain some traction in this case. They urged the public to come forward with any, even a little teeny detail that may seem insignificant at the time.
You hear that like on press conferences all the time.
All the time.
even something that you think you didn't see or like that seems insignificant, like please tell us, because that could actually be like the break in the case.
Yeah, which is so crazy that
Doesn't that sound so
happened.
strange?
Yeah, it's crazy, but it can be. I was listening to The Man in the Window, which is the case about the Golden State Killer, and there's like, I mean, it's not a tiny thing, but there is something that like the killer had said to one of his victims that survived that became a actual huge break to find out who he ended up being.
You're kidding.
It was just like one thing he said, and it meant nothing at the time to anybody.
Whoa.
But later, 20 years later, it meant everything.
See?
Yeah.
Pay attention, guys. Just tell people what you know. Crazy.
Even if you don't think, you're like, well, this guy was crazy and he said this. But
yeah.
Anyways. So it wasn't until late 2018. So it was December 2018.
Was it December? I thought it was November, but yeah.
It might have been November.
Because that was the anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
I think it was December. Yeah, it was. That the Greeley PD reopened the case. If you were local, you saw the flyers, and I actually sent a picture to Andrea.
You did.
At the McDonald's. We were at McDonald's.
Yep.
And I saw this flyer for Janelle.
So strange.
Yeah, it was really strange. It was just
seemed like it was coming out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, again, like a missing persons case, but this was like from 35 years ago. So it was like, this is crazy. But
and the other thing too, it was the 34-year anniversary. So it's not like one of those big anniversary numbers. So it was kind of like, okay, did they find reopening something? This? Like, why is this suddenly being? But like you said, they reopen it every few years. But it just felt bigger than that because they didn't, like before, they never put flyers around.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
I think
not that I've ever seen.
I mean, my speculation is that they had figured out something caused them to reopen it when they did, and that they were just kind of looking for information to like, put some more pieces together.
Sure.
So, you saw those flyers everywhere.
Sorry.
And it was just crazy. So after nearly 35 years again of no leads and no information, the news outlets started going crazy just this last week because Weld County officers were on scene at an oil and gas site.
Wait, stop. We got to go back because this isn't going to go out this week.
Oh.
Okay, let's pause it. Hold on. Or pause it and start at...
So, after nearly 35 years of no leads and no new information, the news outlets started going crazy because Weld County officers were on scene at an oil and gas site for the discovery of human remains.
Which I texted you and I was like, well, how do they know it's human remains? And you're like, the coroner's there.
Yeah. Well, at first they said they found bones and they're like, it could be animal bones. And then it said something about the coroner being there. I'm like, it's
You're
human
so
remains. Like the coroner wouldn't be there if it wasn't.
For like a dog.
And then, and this is pretty crazy too, because we had just done our live show at WeldWorks the day before this happened.
That's right.
The day before they
found. Everybody wanted to talk about it.
Yeah. So the construction workers had been constructing a new pipeline when they discovered the bones on July 23rd, 2019.
Crazy. Can you imagine being one of these construction workers? Like, you're never going to get that out of your brain.
That's true. It's
so crazy.
So crazy.
And you never expect that's so random. See that. Right.
Yeah. I wonder actually though how many times like construction workers find something like that. Like maybe not.
Do you know where that site was?
Oh, yes. Okay. I do. Because
I read somewhere that it was like southeast of Greeley. But that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, so they were excavating in a rural part.
Gosh,
I tried real hard to do it. I can't ever say that word.
Every time.
Literally try. Try right now to say rural.
Rural.
And then...
You have to like slow it down.
You have to. And I talk fast, So it was near County Road 49 and County Road 34.5.
It means nothing to me.
And it was discovered. The remains were discovered at 4:50 p.m.
And like pretty fast, they determined that it was her.
The next day, I think.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah. So every news outlet came out saying that it was Jonelle Matthews, and
yeah, that's right.
I think as a cold case, I'm sure like they found remains and they test it for her DNA every time. But I also, and I do not remember which news article I had read it from, but I read that she went missing in a blue and red outfit.
Oh, really?
And that they found those clothes that match what she went missing in.
I don't think I've heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know this case very well, though.
I mean, I had only looked into it.
A lot of it is new to me.
I had looked into it when we were going to do it earlier, and then was kind of like, oh, there's not really that much information.
That we waited.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, Greeley Police Sergeant, and I am going to destroy this last name.
Okay, go for it.
Joe Timkowicz.
That sounds right.
Okay. Said it's spelled with lots of Y's. So said he couldn't comment on how authorities were able to identify the remains so quickly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know.
There had to be something distinctive on her.
That's what I think. That
maybe
the clothing items, or maybe there was like a bracelet even that had her name on it, or something
identifying who it was.
Yeah,
that had to be.
Yeah,
because there's no way that the Emmy would be able to come back the following day. I mean, Michael Jackson's autopsy took 6 weeks. So
I don't know how fast that happens.
Come on.
But
yeah, it was fast.
Anyways, I'm guessing that there was something on her body that they were able to identify her with that wasn't just DNA evidence. Yeah. But you'd also think they'd wait until DNA evidence to tell the news that they found her.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Man, and they had to notify her family like so quick because it was out the next day.
True, you're right.
I mean, we knew immediately that it was her.
Oh, yeah. So, Janelle's parents retired and they moved to Costa Rica years ago. So hopefully pretty soon they should be heading back to Greeley now that they found her remains. But
they can finally bury their baby.
I know.
It's so sad, and I mean, I'm glad for them. Like, that's closure. That was what her dad said. Like,
yeah, that's true.
They really couldn't
have closure.
What was it? Finality on the whole thing.
Yeah. Even though they knew she was dead.
Of course.
They couldn't have finality. And also, now that they found her body, hopefully they'll be able to close this case. Yeah. So we will definitely keep you guys updated on...
Are there suspects?
I'm not sure.
There were.
Yeah.
But I don't... Like, a bunch of them, or a few of them weren't ruled out, right?
I don't think... I mean, again, they don't have very much to go off of. And so I don't...
That's so crazy.
I don't know.
Maybe DNA.
And since it's a cold case, they keep it pretty tight-lipped, so they're probably not going to reveal much to us yet, because they're still treating it. And now that they found her body, I think they're probably going to put a lot more men on the job, men and women on the job to try and figure out who did this. So
it's like finally just getting off the ground.
Hopefully it'll be a closed case soon. So come on, Greeley PD.
Well, thanks for telling that story.
Yeah.
It's good to know, especially when a cold case is, I mean, quote unquote, solved.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, it's just amazing that 35 years later they find her remains.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
And the crazy part is that they reopened the case, but it was just
a few months
workers
before that. Yeah, you're right.
Found it. It wasn't because of
them reopening the case. You're right.
It was just happenstance.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Hopefully, whatever information they had that caused them to decide to reopen the case at this point, and finding the body,
have somebody to link it to.
Yeah, hopefully it'll all kind of connect and they'll be able to. And I mean, honestly, I hope enough people are I don't know. I hope that the suspect,
enough people will come forward, maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Greeley listeners.
Hello.
I mean, we have someone. I mean, she said she grew up in Greeley when this happened, so we have someone that is around, so I'm sure, or had been around in the time. So if you were around, if you have any information, go call to the Greeley Police Department, because they need to know. They need to close this case.
I know.
We're for that.
I need to know who did it.
Yeah. Right. Well, thanks for listening.
Thanks, as Rima, always. You told that very well, and especially it's not a lot of information.
It's not. But that's okay.
You did a great job.
I'm glad that we could get her story out there, even though a lot of you have already looked into it now that her bones were just found.
Yeah. But still, it's good to remind people.
Yep.
She was someone's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet 12-year-old
Okay,
girl.
well, go follow us on Instagram at Mile High Murder Podcast.
And go join our Facebook group.
Do something.
We have a Facebook discussion group. It's fun. You should be there.
It's fun.
If you have any cases that you want us to cover, we have a link. You can suggest them. And
send it that way, because we get random messages and then one of us will see it and not write it down.
Yeah.
Or not tell the other one. And those get lost. So
it's
use this link
to keep it in one spot for us. And then we know who to thank too. And then also we are searching for nonprofits.
Yes, we are.
That handle mental health or victim awareness or victim advocacy. And if you have a nonprofit that you know of a nonprofit that you want us to kind of spotlight on our podcast, that is what we want to do in the future. So
we're excited
about it. We're looking for that right now, and we'd love to hear any of those suggestions. So
super dope.
Yep. Well, thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys. Have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you back next week.
See you next week.
Bye.